Hello and welcome to the TEA Iowa Nebraska Chapter Chat. This is our very first episode, and I am your host, Emily Birds. I'm a member of the Communications Subcommittee for the Iowa Nebraska Chapter, and today I am thrilled to be joined by Kathy Maddox with Commonwealth, who is also a member of the Executive Committee for the Iowa Nebraska Chapter. And Kathy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
All right. Well, you are the person we want to talk to because today we are talking about AACE, which is the annual awards for communications excellence that the ESOP Association hosts each year. And you are our go-to expert when it comes to AACE. Not only have you won several AACE awards for your company, you've also been a judge for the AACE awards. So we are excited to pick your brain today about all the ins and outs about the AACE awards, which are currently open for application, and what folks can do and companies can do to potentially win their own AACE, and what it all goes into the process for submission and what they're all about. And so from your perspective, Kathy, what are the AACE Awards? Tell us all about it.
The AACE Awards are exactly what they talk about, being the awards for communication excellence in the employee ownership world. And it's a variety of things. They have numerous categories. They have 7 different categories that you can compete in or submit an entry to. And it really talks a lot about what kind of communication did you do with your employees? What was the intent of the communication? Was it education? Was it to brag about something that you have done? What is that communication for? How did you do it? Did you see any outcomes from it? And it's really rewarding those employee-owned companies who have done an outstanding job of doing that. A lot of times there is, I think, a little bit of a misnomer about any award, and even particularly this one. People think, oh, I have to have this groundbreaking type of thing that no other company has ever done. And that's not it at all. It is just really rewarding those companies who have done an extraordinary job at communicating with your employees, which we do on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of times you forget about how much communication you've done, or how well that simple type of thing, form of communication went with your employees, how it really made a difference and how they learned, or something new that they learned. So it's really just giving some great kudos to those companies that find maybe some new and different ways, maybe the same old way, but it had a different result from something else that they had ever tried before.
Absolutely. And so, as you said, there are 7 different categories. So let's quickly go through them here, because, there is a lot of ways that people can get involved. So number 1 is videos. Number 2 is printed materials. Number 3 is intranet. So that would be, how you communicate internally and share information. Number 4 is community engagement. 5, single event. Number 6, series of events. And number 7 is total communications. And so, Kathy, what have you submitted for and what have you won in AACE Awards previously?
Sure. We have submitted in a number of the categories, actually, especially the first year that I did this, because it was the first year of trying for this award. And truthfully, I went in a little bit blind, even though the ESOP Association had a good guideline online that you could follow. I still had never done it, still had no idea what I was doing. We submitted in the videos category, the printed materials category, the one special event, and then also the series of events. And truthfully, the very first year that I submitted for the company, I even submitted for total communications, not realizing exactly what it was, but I learned. Our very first year, we won in the category that's called printed materials. And then in 2022, we won for series of special events. So in the printed materials category, a couple of years ago, one of the things that our company does, and I submitted this, is we produce or have a 3-ring binder. And in that 3-ring binder, we have dividers in it, and the first divider shows what a sample statement is. Second divider, we have summary plan description. Third divider, we have ownership month and information about ownership month. The fourth one, we have an ownership booklet that we put together. And then the fifth divider has frequently asked questions. At the same time, we also submitted a magnet, a vesting magnet that we put together. It's in the shape of a circle and kind of cut into pies. And so as a person becomes vested, then they receive that piece of the pie. Last year, when we submitted for a series of events, we submitted for everybody's favorite ownership month. And the year that we submitted for, our theme was the Olympics. We found a couple of years ago that having a theme for the entire month really helped us to focus better. It helped us to decorate. It helped us to plan food. It just helped us quite a bit. And so we were able to win for those 2 categories. Last year, we also were a runner-up in the video category.
Fantastic. Just taking it all and making it happen. And so I think that leads into a little bit about the process and how things work with AACE. And because I think it's important to also note that each category is broken down into small company and large company, which I believe 250 is the break number. So below 250 employee owners is the small company, and above that is large company. So you're not totally thrown in with the big dogs necessarily, and you get the chance to kind of stand out a little bit within your group if you are a smaller company. And so that can also help make a difference. But, I think that's important to lead into how we talk about the general process for applying. As we said, applications are currently open until June 1st this year. And I know they've shifted a little bit of the process now in recent years. Talk a little bit about how people can find the application and what you think it entails.
Yep, absolutely. To be honest, again, one of the hardest things was truthfully finding this. I went on to the ESOP Association page and I searched for it, and I truly had a hard time finding it at first. Then I started looking a little bit more, and when you go on to the ESOP Association website, there are categories across the top. One of them says information for. And if you hit that drop-down box, it comes to a list of different things on information, and it says award entrance. And when you click on the award entrance, that's where you can find the rules and guidelines for the AACE competition for every year. It's helpful to go and look and see. You can see who the previous winners were. There are some areas you can look at that have comments that the judges have made that particular year. So it's a great area to go and look and find the information. Also, I think they do a really good job of talking about in the judging what the entries are judged on, because there's some great bullet points on that. And then it really gives you a little bit more information on each of the categories, so you know which one do I want to compete in. For instance, some people thought that ownership month was a single category or a single event. Well, it can be if you have one specific thing that you do during that month. But really, it falls more under that series of events. So reading through all the information that's online really, really does help. I think they have improved this from the first year that I submitted. I think that it's much easier to figure out where should I be competing in for that specific category. So it's much, much better than it was originally.
Awesome. And so, yes, like we said, applications are now open, and that's all online now. Is that right, Kathy? Everything is accessible online and you can submit online.
It is. However, One of the things that they talk about, and you'll see this they have a tips for entering. And one of the things that you do is, even though you do submit this online, you need to follow up with a binder. And in the binder, that's where you're going to kind of do an overview of what you have submitted online. And then you're going to have those documents that help sell that story that you're trying to tell about your company. It could be flyers that you sent out. It could be emails. It could be anything, really. And the binder really is what helps sells what it is that you are trying to submit for. So make sure that you do both, because if you only go online, you've only gone half the way there. You need to send in that binder that has everything in it.
Gotcha. So yeah, but a bit of a two-part process there, but worth it to make it all the way. And so you've talked about this a little bit, but as a former winner, what do you think is a good rubric for success? What do you think it takes to win an ACE award?
Well, I think it takes a couple of things. And I think, one of them is selling your company, as far as, if nobody knows anything about you, nobody knows anything about really even employee ownership. What are you portraying for your company, and specifically about employee ownership? And so I think, as some people think, well, I just need to do a quick overview. Well, actually, no. The more in-depth you can get, the more it helps to understand what exactly that you did. Now, you don't have to go through 25 steps. We did this and then we did that. You don't have to do that, but you do have to sell it to, a group of unknown judges who are going to be reading through everything that you submit. So it's not fluff, but all of that additional documentation that you put into the binder really, really helps a great deal to help those judges understand what you were trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that leads into the other side of your knowledge about ACE, which is the judging. And so as you've been one of those judges, what do you think the judges are looking for? What were you looking for? And what were things that caught your eye that made certain submissions stand out?
There were a couple of things, to be perfectly honest with you. And the one thing that was really a lot of fun, I should say, about judging was that the group of judges, that I was with, everybody saw something from a different perspective, and then we could put all of our ideas together. And there were some times where maybe somebody brought up something that you yourself hadn't seen. So that was a great experience to be able to do that. Number one, if somebody is submitting in the binder pictures of something that they have done, if your company name is not real visible, that's kind of a deterrent, because we need to know who you are. So if you are taking pictures of maybe an event that you hosted within your community, maybe you hosted a run walk type of thing, and not only did you host it or you helped to sponsor it, but your employees also were in it. If your name isn't on the shirts, if your name isn't on the poster, and on that poster, if it doesn't say anything about employee ownership, then you're really not promoting employee ownership, because that's what this is all about. It's about being an employee-owned company. We all can participate in numerous walks, which we all do, with a heart walk or a breast cancer walk or something of that sort. So if you are going to submit that type of an event, make sure that your company and employee ownership is very visible, because it does make a great deal of difference.
Very good to keep in mind. Absolutely. Got to have that logo and got to splash that everywhere. And so you talked about this a little bit, but obviously there are more popular categories within ACE. And so, and ones that more people submit to. what's your advice on how people can stand out in those more popular categories or in the areas where you're going to see a lot of competition?
That's a really good question. The videos, first of all, let me back up and say one thing. I think a lot of times people might not submit for the ACE competition because they think or they don't have what you would call a huge marketing department. And they think that, oh, I don't have a professional who can do this. We don't have a staff like that, especially for the 250 and under category. The larger companies, they of course probably do have a marketing department, but for the 250 and under, I think that deters people a lot of the times from competing. The first time we competed, our marketing department consisted of 2 part-time college students, and they were very part-time because they were going to school, and school needed to be their priority. So this was something they were able to do just as a part-time student. So don't let that ever deter you from submitting something. And it's also something that you believe in. I think that many times we think, oh, we have to compete against Publix, which is the largest employee-owned company that there is. Well, you don't. You're, depending upon the category that you're in, what is it that you felt went really, really well in your company? What did you hear great positive feedback about? What do you think employees got excited about? And those are the things that you really want to submit for. And don't ever hesitate to do that. Oh my gosh, we saw some of the greatest submissions in the video category last year. And truthfully, they were put together by someone who, one of them in particular, they happened to have a drone, and they did some really cool filming. But a drone is really a very inexpensive thing that you hook your iPhone to and you film with it. It's, again, one of those things where people think I have to have this huge department. I have to have all this equipment. I need to have the best of the best. And you do not. It can be done very easily. So again, look at something that you got excited about as a person who's submitting. And do you think other people will be just as excited about it, and submit for it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Not always about that production value, right? It doesn't have to be a big Hollywood production to be a winner.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then, of course, a little bit back to the timeline, the process, because then once judging is done, winners are now announced at the Vegas event in November. And so that's very fun. But gives that event a little bit more oomph. And so if you want to go to Vegas, maybe submitting an ACE is a good reason for you to make the trip out there and see about that. Mm-hmm. And so that's what that process looks like. And so what types of events or communications do you think are worth utilizing for an application? If we can give folks some tangible examples to think about. We talked about Employee Ownership Month. We talked about any kind of general onboarding communications with employee ownership. What are some other tangible examples of things that you've seen submitted?
I saw in the single event category, one of the things that was submitted by a company was, this was their back to work campaign, and this was after COVID, and so they were bringing employees back into the office. And leading up to that, what did they do? It was a week. And so even though you would think that might be a series of events, it was 1 week. It was focused on bringing people back to work, and the messages that they had come across, and some of the innovative things that they did with, having a coffee cart at the front door the first day that people were coming back in and welcoming them. It was just so heartwarming to see what that one company had done, knowing that it was something that was difficult for employees to do with returning to the office. But it just stood out. Their message stood out about how important their employee owners are to the success of their company, and how what they do matters, and that they were so glad to have them back into the office and looking forward to that camaraderie. It was a great submission, but there were so many of them that were so good. It truly made the judging challenging at times. So again, don't think that it has to be because you sponsored a circus in your backyard. It's not that at all. It can be something as simple as we had an ice cream party and maybe you did things a little bit differently. Maybe you sponsor a dance party, every single week to bring about that camaraderie that we all know comes from being an employee owner. It sometimes can be the simplest thing. It does not have to be something that is big, expensive, and takes a year to plan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, okay, I think we've covered an incredible amount about what the ACE is all about and why people should apply or should consider applying for their company. Any last kind of parting advice you have for people considering submitting this year as they embark on an application?
Oh, absolutely. There's a couple things. First of all, don't procrastinate like I do, because you are putting something together rushed. And once you submit, you can't get it back. You can't change something. So take your time. Give yourself enough time to be able to think through it, thoroughly, and then rough it out on paper. You maybe, before you submit it, just look at the application online so you can see what they are asking for, and then sit and type it out, rough it out. And then you can fine tune it. You can wordsmith it. So make sure that you give yourself enough time to be able to do that, because rushing, again, you always forget something. And the other thing is it doesn't matter what the size of your company is. All of us are employee owners. We all work hard at educating our employees. And we all try to do something maybe a little bit different. So don't ever think that you aren't big enough or good enough, because you most certainly are. And then lastly, I can tell you that there is nothing better than being called up on stage in Vegas to receive the award in front of your peers, in front of the companies that have won before, that have done an outstanding job, and you're now at that same level as they are because you've won. And it is just the greatest thing to be able to go upstairs and receive the award. I will tell you that award is heavy, very, very heavy. It's a very solid piece. And so when you're carrying it home in the backpack, it is pretty heavy. But I didn't trust putting it in my luggage, nor was I going to let it out of my sight, because we were so thrilled to win and receive that recognition. And, the other thing is if you win, you receive a free registration. And as we all know, the registrations, can be a little pricey and might keep some people from attending that conference. And so you win a registration, which is also phenomenal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hard earned and well deserved, and a heck of a club to be a part of, it sounds like. So love it. Awesome. Well, Kathy, thank you so much for sharing your insight today when it comes to the ACE. Of course, if people want to learn more or submit for themselves, you can find that on the ACE Association website under awards/the ACE Awards. And they've got that up to date with all the latest for this year. Again, submissions are due for 2023. By June 1st, sorry. So get on those. Don't procrastinate. I know here at Razor, we're very excited about submitting this year and having this inside scoop as to what we should do to make it happen, not only for us, but for anybody here in the chapter. The Iowa Nebraska chapter has always shown up strong at the AACE Awards, and we'd love to keep that tradition going, of course, led by your leadership with Commonwealth. So we appreciate that. And we'd love to see more chapter members making it happen and making it to that stage in Vegas. I think it'll be fantastic.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a great year for it. So.
I totally agree with you.
Oh, we can't wait. So yes, again, thank you, Kathy. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. We hope you found this informative and we hope you've picked up a thing or two. Of course, if you have any questions for myself or Kathy, don't hesitate to reach out or to reach out to the executive committee with any questions regarding AACE beyond what the webpage can show you. We hope that you've been able to get inspired, and we hope to have a record year of nominations and submissions this year for AACE. I think it'll be awesome. So thank you again, and we will see you next time.